Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Theater from My View. I am Amanda Washington. Today we will be discussing Stephen Adly Guirgis' play, Jesus Hopped the A Train. But before we get into it, a few things. 1, I post a new video every Friday at noon. So 2, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel because 3, next Friday's coming quick, fast, and boom, in a hurry, and you don't want to miss it. All right, are you ready? Let's get into it. The trigger is pulled, a religious cult leader dies, and a man named Angel Cruz is sent to prison for the murder. As audience members, we experience Angel's time with an unjust justice system, a corrupted prison structure, and we meet the people who forge lasting impressions on Angel's life during this tumultuous time. Jesus Hopped the A Train is set on Rikers Island in a 23-hour lockdown private custody wing. And when I read that, I thought this is a great setting for the show because it's about prisoners and their time in prison. But what if it is set somewhere else? What if the show is set in a church, specifically a Catholic church? I thought the rituals that happen within a Catholic church correlate to some of the rituals that were happening in Jesus Hopped the A Train. I thought it would be a great place to show the rigid structure, but also the reflection that happens not only within the church walls, but in a prison. The very first scene in this show opens up with Angel, the main character, praying. He is praying the Lord's Prayer because it's his second day in prison and he wants to be released for the murder that he committed. But he's praying, but he's not getting the words right. He says, "Our Father, Howard in heaven." It's like, hallowed be thy name. And he's praying so loud and so frantically that it wakes the other inmates. So I thought if I was going to set this within a Catholic church, I was like, what if he's lighting a votive candle? And then his praying disturbs the other people who are also lighting candles at that time. And then what if you hear the actual correct words to the Lord's Prayer softly chanting in the background, but you mainly hear Angel getting these words wrong to a prayer that is universal in many ways? I thought that could reflect how at this moment in time, Angel isn't connected to God. And so the audience sees a clear starting point for where Angel is in his spiritual journey to where it grows to by the end of the play. Now, for those of you who have read the script, you're like, Amanda, that's a lovely idea. How are you dealing with all the F words that Angel drops starting on the second line of the first page? Trust me, I had to marinate on this one. But just because someone curses, does that make them less worthy of God's love? And so I thought, what if he's coming or approaching this spirituality in a childlike manner of he doesn't know what is right or wrong? And so in a sense, does that make him less worthy of God's love? Another major scene that I thought would play out lovely within the walls of a church was the moments between Angel and his lawyer, Mary Jane. I saw at certain moments Mary Jane as this priest because she had this connection to the outside world, to God, but then she also had connections to this inside world, to the sinners, to people in prison, the people incarcerated. And so I saw her at certain moments shepherding Angel throughout the justice system. But then there's that one of the final moments in the show where Mary Jane says, hey, you should lie on the stand in order to get your freedom or to guarantee your freedom. And I had a hard time saying, well, Amanda, how do you see that as a priest? But then I also remembered people aren't infallible. We all make mistakes, and we're doing the best we can with what we have. And that's not me saying you should lie on the stand. No, it's illegal. Please don't. I'm saying she thought she was doing what was best for her client. And isn't that what any leader does? They think they're doing what's best for their people. I thought this scene could play out between the pews of a church and the pulpit. At moments when I saw Mary Jane as that priest, I thought she would be almost preaching to Angel, but then there were moments where Angel was like, no, lady, you're not about to preach to me. And he stood up from the pews and objected in a sense. And then it also reminded me, you can learn from both. A pastor learns from his congregation. A lawyer can learn from her client. Seeing the power struggle of the two learning, from one being higher up and the one being lower, sitting in the pews while the other is in the pulpit. It's very interesting because it adds this power struggle of whose idea do we go with, because both are interesting, both are dynamic, both in a sense could be right depending on how you think. And so I thought that would be lovely to just watch, and it could add so many layers of depth and ways for the actors to play around, like running through the pews or going through different parts on the pulpit or of the stage of the church. Or a third scene or third moment where it would be, I would love to test this out, see how it plays, is Angel and Lou. Lou is a sociopath who has killed 8 people, but has, I think, the biggest influence on Angel in this show. He's really an example of what it means to trust in God. Obviously, he's had this tumultuous past, but he has reformed his ways. The final scene between Lou and Angel is the most dynamic. And for sure, this is where I would want that final scene to take place. I thought of it being in a confessional. And I'm not saying that I see Lou as this priest that Angel confesses to. I think they're both confessors. It's like writing in a diary and then having someone else respond, but not judge you for your actions. That's how I saw this moment. And then also in the actual script, it says that these two characters are in cages. When they go outside for their 1 hour of fresh air, they are refined to these cages so the guard doesn't have to constantly watch if they're going to get into a fight. These people are heightened criminals. Not sure if that's the right word, but they're very dangerous, supposedly. And so they're not allowed to interact with each other. They have to be put into these cages. And this is not me calling a confessional a cage, but it does have the same type of space where there's not a lot of room to really expand your limbs. There's not a lot of room to stretch, but what there is room for is reflection. There's room to talk, and there's enough room to at least throw a packet of cigarettes, because that's what Lou does to Angel on the first day. He gives him a pack of cigarettes and like, hey, have a good time. And so I thought, what kind of actions could be played out, and how does them being in the confessional booth work, in the sense of, would they feel as refined and restricted as if they were in cages that had bars? Would they feel a little bit more free to move? How more thoughtful does the conversations become between those two? If you have read the script, you know that those two go back and forth all the time. I said I wanted to set the very last scene in the confessional booth because Lou has resigned himself to die. Lou is on death row, and they are about to take him off to execution. And Angel is over here like, why aren't you fighting for yourself? How do you know that death is in God's plan for you at this moment? And Lou, he says this line, and it's akin to, I have served my purpose. It is time for me to go home. And I thought that's a really impactful moment for Angel, because it's like, what is Angel's purpose, and is he serving it? And it's in that moment, I believe, that Angel starts, if he doesn't start to believe in God at that moment, because throughout the show he does struggle with believing in God, he's definitely more aware of the impact God could have in his life. To be at peace with dying, that's a powerful thing that not a lot of people may have. The characters in this show are tainted and gritty. They're very much so real life people. They're dealing with mental health issues. They're trying to navigate the justice system. They're trying to navigate unsafe conditions in the prison structure. And it just made me emphasize the fact that I did want to set this in a church, because No one comes to church because they're perfect or because they don't need anything. They come to church because they're searching for something. And I thought these people are in prison, not necessarily because they were searching to go to prison, but they had something void in their life. And I definitely think that's why I'm so attracted to this idea of setting this show within a church. I think that with everything going on in their life, these people are struggling with their humanity. And in a sense, the spirituality that is without this entire play helps them grapple with that thought of, am I human? Am I worthy of love? Am I worthy to go back out into society? Angela Davis has this lovely quote that I wanted to share with you all. She says, "Prisons do not disappear social problems. They disappear human beings. Homelessness, unemployment, drug addiction, mental illness, and illiteracy are only a few of the problems that disappear from public view when the human beings contending with them are relegated to cages." And if I did set this show in a church, it's very much so, well, people go to church to be helped with their soul. What are we actually doing to help people who go to prison? Yes, we're relegating them to these cages, but locking them up and saying that you doing time away from the world is actually helping you? If Angela Davis was talking about these problems then, and fast forward to 2000, and Stephen Adly Guirgis writes a play about them, you really have to ask yourself the question, what have we done to make our prison systems better? Just a few thoughts to think about. I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below, though. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to see you next Friday. Bye-bye.